Hey y'all, it's 8:15 and welcome to Good Chats. Welcome to everybody who's already on board. Welcome to Plain Train Guy. Welcome to Hunters. Welcome to Buff Cane Trains. Welcome to Andy Munro. Welcome aboard. JK, welcome. And welcome to Steve Klink as well and O'Malley Tours. So it's all happening tonight. I didn't actually make a list of things to talk about tonight. I think we'll just talk about Book of the Week and some of the researchy things that have been going on in my life this week, and importantly, what's been going on in your lives as well. Welcome, Daryl. Thanks for coming on board. That's huge. There's heaps of lurkers out there tonight as well, so please log in or whatever it is you got to do, or just say good day in the chat. So yeah. Hey, who's in Hay at the moment? Oh right, okay. Chasing broken down. Oh, there's trains out in Hay. Cool. Okay. I love it, the way that we all learn something a little bit new, and disparate kind of people come together to share some interesting information here every Wednesday night. And that's kind of what drives what I do. And that was one thing that I was going to talk about, was basically what drives what I do. I think I said it there in the description. Um, and you guys have given me a bit of content to talk about already. So I think I might do this start early thing more often, because it also gives me a chance to test the stream, make sure it's working, and make sure that I'm not going to mess it up, and actually everything is working, which is a fairly common practice sometimes in more professional streams. So, and also book of the week, of course. We've got that as well. So, yeah, Kane mentioned that the showground station is 10 years old. I was just down at the showgrounds on the weekend for the caravan and camping show, and I did think about, catching the train. Catching the train to the show, but to be honest, it wasn't that busy, and it was pretty easy to find a park. So, yeah, we're still not at that stage yet. Who remembers the old showground? I think most of us would remember the old showground station. Oh, g'day, Pete, as well. Sorry, man, I missed you there. Thank you for coming on board, Pete Donaldson. You nearly forgot. That's okay. Plain train guy, if I haven't mentioned. O'Malley, I was there on the Saturday, but I was there for a good time, not a long time. I had a bit of a quick reconnaissance around the place, because that's been kind of my business, no matter how much I try to get away from the camping and outdoors and recreation business. I think the more I try and get away from it, the more it pulls me back in. So I should probably stop trying to get away from it. Yeah, so there we go. Showground station and the showgrounds in itself. These caravan and camping shows, when I left the business for the first time in 2016, I was, taking up a career as a writer, or so I thought, and I was pretty vocal in my opposition to these caravan and camping shows. So I find it kind of ironic that, I'm still getting Guernseys to them. What else was there? Let's run through this too and catch up, because there's a lot of stuff there. Big Shed Brewery. O'Malley, I probably didn't help Big Shed Brewery out much because I never went there. I go to Pirate Life a couple of times, but that's because it's right next to a big F-off railway museum, which kind of helps, right? And I think most of us looked at Big Shed when they first started in their industrial sort of wasteland area down there on Old Port Road. I think most of us wondered how long this would last, and I'm really surprised that they lasted this long. COVID kind of smashed everything, and they were prime candidates for that. So it's really sad to hear that they've gone into receivership, and who knows, perhaps, a change of business and a change of marketing because they've gone into receivership might help them out. But it's sad to say I'm still not helping him out because I haven't been there yet. Spending all my money on making YouTube videos. G'day, Drifters. Long time no see, mate. Well, at least here anyway, on the YouTube channel. And I'm catching up with those names things as well, because, I have a lot of fun with names and railway names, and it's interesting. I've got some stuff to say about that, yeah. Locomotive DE10, which is a diesel locomotive built in 1928. That's pretty early for a diesel, right? I like this kind of history. I'm not sure about the names and the numbers and the real engineering and stuff, but this is interesting. One of the oldest diesels in the world would be stored up there at Pitchy Ritchie, and I wish I could cut and paste that comment and put it into my Word document, which I generally have a Word document for each of these projects where I cut and paste all these little bits and things that I find around the internet and research that takes place in many different ways. And don't always do it word for word, but it just all helps when you put it all together into the mix. Okay, where are we? I'm here every Wednesday night, and the point of that is to prove that regularity and just being at the same time every week removes the need for reminders and notifications, although you probably could go and put notifications on. If you go to one of my videos and down the bottom right, there's a little bell there, and you can play with your notification settings for Outdoorstype and, hey, all the other channels that you subscribe to as well. There's various things that you can do, but I'm sure you all know that. Kane's getting buff down at the gym and is probably going to catch a train later. So, damn, man, that's living the life right there. Looking forward to seeing that. I have a lot of trouble with saying the names of small towns wrong. One in particular was Mary Ely Street, or Mary Ely Street station in Port Pirie. We all hear the name of Port Pirie pronounced over and over again, but you don't hear the name of Mary Ely Street or Eli. Damn, I don't even remember it now. I'll have to go back to my video on Port Pirie stations to figure it out, because I did actually have to reach out to Facebook communities and ask them how to pronounce it. There was another video I did on the Eyre Peninsula stations where I played around with the pronunciations of names, because people will always point it out when you get it wrong, put it that way. And I'll find that video in a minute. I'll find the Eyre Peninsula video where I'm just sort of giving up. I'm just having a bit of a play with it now. Yeah, look, the train to the showgrounds is awesome. Exactly right, Andy. Exactly right. By the time I've made the video, it's kind of too late anyway to point it out. You know what I'm saying? So, if I do think I have access to a source which will help me pronounce all the town names without spending even more hours on the videos than I do, then yeah. But I've got to the point now where I just will bravely pronounce the names as my understanding linguistics will put it. We're fully aware of the fact that locals will call it something different. And that's part of local knowledge, I guess. Did I see a train in Tailem Bend? You know what? Tailem Bend is probably the last place I've ever seen a train, which is surprising given that it's apparently so busy. But no, that's the least likely place I'm about to see a train for some reason when I'm there. That's probably because I'm there a lot on Saturdays. I've spent hours there. But yeah, like I said, it's probably because I'm on Saturdays. And boy, did the New South... Well, I'm a New South Welshman, so I'm going to try it. Tumut. I went to Tumut, and I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Tumut, but hey, correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, and look, yeah, I've spent hours too trying to follow up these names, but it just gets to the point where you just got to be brave and just get out there and just do it. And we kind of got booby trapped with names like Boobarawi and the like. I think it's knowing what I know about language, but knowing what I know about language, it's impossible for everybody to come to the same understanding of how that word is pronounced. Tumut. Very European. Tumut. We'll go to Tumut and go skiing in a tunnel at Tumut. That's all I remember about Tumut. So there you go. I'm still working at Camper Agent. Standard retail chaos applies there. I had hoped to get away from the retail chaos, but at least this time I'm just a photographer and a social media guy, and I don't have to get involved in all the sales strategy BS. Which is great. I just wish that it wasn't 37 degrees. It takes a lot of logistics to do what I do in terms of getting caravans onto a turntable and spinning them around on a turntable, which is kind of fun while I take photos. And then also, dragging these caravans back to the yard or a showroom. I make tickets for them. I have to use a stupid bloody laminator every day. And I can tell you right now that what I do there is nothing. It's not even close to what I'm capable of. But anyway, it's a regular paycheck, and we all want that. And it's not sales, which is great. You must have driven past and saw the salesperson wanted truck out there again. Yeah, that's always fun when that goes out and nobody bothers to tell the salesman that that's happening. But anyway, Tutyi. There's some great names out in the Mallee as well. That reminds me. O'Malley, of the town called Boinker, out on the highway to Oyen, out on the Mallee Highway, out in between Pinaroo and Oyen, and there's some great towns out there. Menangatang is probably my favourite town name in all of Australia. Menangatang, and I dare anybody to give me a better pronunciation of Menangatang than that one. And then there's Boinker. And I'm like, is that like Boinker maybe? Or is it just Boinker? That doesn't seem quite right. But anyway, that's apparently what it is. Oye. No, it's Oyen, man. I have to go back to do that railway yard and all that stuff around there at some stage too. In answer to your previous question, Andy, no, I'm not a sports fan. I find sports very hard to follow. That's just me. uh, Sports is kind of like, and I grew up following NRL in Sydney. Then I moved to Adelaide, and all of a sudden it was an AFL city, and I think my interest in sports was broken at that point in time, and I just kind of gave up. Yeah, most people wouldn't know how to say Amar. They wouldn't even understand, I guess, the cultural sort of side of why Amar is named, and why the GH says AGH says R and not UG, because Amar comes from Scottish, pretty sure dialect, where the AGH is pronounced differently to what we would normally pronounce it. Is it pronounced one car? I'm gonna pronounce all these names, so just keep throwing them, and I'll give it a go, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. One car is pretty much it. Wong car could probably be another one. I reckon it's witchy proof, not white proof. But hey, tell me. But I just get this feeling it's witcher proof. Where are we? One of the things that I did want to talk about, and I think it's in the description of the video as well, while you guys throw some more names at me, was I spoke to my 98-year-old grandfather on the phone the other day. And first up, a lot of people my age don't have a grandfather for a start. So feeling pretty lucky that I still get to ring him up and I get to talk to him about things around Coffs Harbour, and that's where a lot of my projects and some of my research stems from that connection to Coffs Harbour and the areas around Coffs Harbour. Neen Valley, I reckon. Could be Nene Valley. Nene Valley, but I reckon Neen Valley. It almost depends on who or what cultural group named the place. And that's very interesting, Daryl, that you should say that too. Wadna. I would have pronounced it Wadna, not Woodna. Woodna. So there you go. What I'm the way I'm trained, I would say Wadna. But Woodna makes sense too. Well, now I think about it, I probably mispronounced the name of Woodna if I had pronounced it in that Eyre Peninsula video. But I was talking to my 98-year-old grandfather about the research that I'm doing on the Boambi Creek Bridge, and Walter Jordan, who's a great grandfather of mine, is what I've gotten so far. And he was one of the original settlers of, I called it Woodina. Woodina. Woodna. Talking about the Boambi Creek Bridge, and this was a bridge on the north coastline in New South Wales, built sometime around 1915. And the story that I plan to narrate is about how that bridge was, basically a floating mess, and he had to show and fight for it to be fixed properly. And so I hope in times to come to kind of expand the library and the scope of what I'm doing to other states, and there's a lot to do around northern New South Wales as well. Now, were there any proposals for railways in SA that never got made? And yes, there's a proposal to extend the railway from Morgan to Hay. There was many proposals on which way to get the main South Line over the Adelaide Hills. There was proposals to build that line originally up the Torrens Valley. There were lots of proposals to even extend the Mount Pleasant line up to Truro, for example. But a lot of these lines, I think possibly the only thing you could get would be surveys. But these surveys never really even made it into print beyond proposals, and we're talking back in the 1800s. So this is really hard to get to. Good one, Pete. Yongala, that's what I would say. Yongala, but I have this feeling that locals would pronounce it Yongala or Yongala. To boob around. Riverlea proposal. You know what? I think that I have this feeling that this Riverlea proposal, Yongala. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. That makes sense. The Riverlea. I did read about that. Old mate Kutsintonis here in South Australia was talking about that proposal, and when he talks about things, it may actually get done. And to be honest, I feel like that's a proposal that would actually get done because you've already got a railway line that runs very close, and the land there is largely vacant. It wouldn't be too hard for him to punch a railway through there. So yeah, let's see. There is a lot of building going on out there at Riverlea. That's for sure. Would we add 20k people to the Berg? Are you talking about Edithburgh or Edithborough? Because, that stuff's laced with Scottish sensibilities. Train horns? No, I really don't like train horns. I have to be really honest with you. And I don't like the sound of railway crossings either, and railway crossing bells. Peterborough. Yeah, Peterborough. I know I've got that right? Petersburg, yeah, but funnily enough, not long after we were changing the names of towns with harbour in it so that the Queen's German husband could not look like an idiot, years later we were changing the names of all these German towns to something else. History is crazy like that. 20k, if you were to add 20k people to any town in South Australia, well, they're already adding like 50k every week, or no, not every week or so, but every year, a couple of years to Mount Barker. So we probably shouldn't go adding any more people there. There's probably an awful lot of people still moving in around Victor Harbour. When it comes to towns in South Australia that are growing, there's very few and far between. When you go out into the country, there's not a lot of housing estates, right? And you see these if you know the city and stuff. But if you go out, I don't know, in the last year or so, I've been out to a lot of places, and I don't think I've seen any new housing estates except for in the Riverland. There's still a few housing estates going in out there, like these big builds. You don't really see them much out there at all. I'm good, Josh. Welcome aboard. Thank you, Josh, for coming aboard. Josh is one of my co-conspirators from time to time in some of these videos. I went to university with Josh, and he has a great channel at VJoshV. Pretty simple. VJoshV on YouTube. Look it up. Check him out. He does things from a Cantonese perspective, which is what's really interesting. Turbo Tom. Now, there's something I haven't heard before for a long time. And let's definitely going to keep my politics to myself on YouTube. That's for damn sure. Winninini. I hope that's it. That was on the Broken Hill video where I was typing that out to put it into the titles, right? And I'm just thinking, God, what a win! I had to go back and forth a couple of times just to double check the amount of N's in it. Winnanoe. I reckon. Possibly one of the two. Um, Not sure how you could do Win and Yowie differently. Um, it's really interesting because my wife and I are both really interested in this stuff because my wife works very deeply with teaching kids how to read. She works with the school curriculum, and obviously I have worked with writing and words and digital publishing for many years now too. So pronunciation of things is really really interesting, and the way that people communicate as well using pronunciation of things like we are now is really really interesting. But in the meantime, I'll go back to what I was talking about. My granddad asked me after we were talking about bits and pieces about the Boambi Creek Bridge, and he said, "I don't know how you find the time to do all this extra work and all this extra research." And I kind of just said, it's something that I've got a passion for. It's the reason why I go to work and do all these other things to maintain a life that gives me the opportunity to do this. And I don't watch TV either. I haven't seen, well, no, when I do see a TV ad, when somebody's got the TV on in the background or something like that, I'm honestly shocked when the ads come on these days because I just have not seen. TV ads are just weird to me. I can't believe that they're still the same as they were back in the 1990s. They just haven't changed a bit and they're terrible. So that's one thing. I don't watch TV. I'm generally doing my own thing all of the time. And everybody's got to have a hobby or a passion in life, and that's, I guess, what this has become. And he said, why are you doing it as well? And I said to him, I said, that's I want to create a library of things, and it will be what it will be. I'm no expert, but I want to create a library of content and perhaps extract some of the things that I find interesting and most intriguing out of books and out of history and out of databases and out of libraries and out of, for example, I'm emailing back and forth with the National Railway Museum and getting them to select random images because I'm like, you guys just select some of the ones on this line or that line that you think are the best and most representative of the line. And then I'll work with those images, for example. So, what I'm trying to do is bring all of those images and all of those stories and all of those captures and do a was now kind of thing and bring it to life for a new digital audience because that's the way it is these days. People are out there on YouTube. Your kids are out there on TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram. They're on your shorts, which is another thing. I have a lot of trouble boiling everything down into shorts. I do it for work sometimes, but that's a very specific application. But it's very hard to kind of condense what Outdoorstype does down into 30 seconds, and that's why I do it only very rarely when the sort of inspiration hits. TV does not capture my attention precisely because of the ads and the hyper commercialization of it. But I could go into that for hours, the amount of essays and stuff. I nearly said the other word. Essays and stuff that I've written over the 7 years of my study, right deep into media. And the reason is, TV has a commercial instinct, and I just find that I'm not interested in doing that. I'm always thinking sort of independently about where I'm going to go and what I'm going to do next. And the political economy, and we could talk about all that kind of stuff, politics of representation and blah blah blah. It just kills me. It's so boring. And it's really really boring to me. And then they have like 3-minute ad breaks in between the boring TV bits, and I'm just like, yeah, it kills me. And generally, if I want to know what's going on in a TV show, I'll just Google it. Maybe I've got massive ADD issues as well, right? It's because, quite often if I'm interested in a Netflix series, I'm like, bugger watching it. I'll just follow it on Wikipedia or that TV Wikipedia thing. I can't remember the one. I'll just read the plot and just get past all the stuff. We should be teaching a uni course on TV and media now. Definitely. I think we've been out for long enough now. and but maybe we shouldn't, because that TV is really where still a lot of attention is, right? Let's face it. And particularly around sports as well. And I've done all that study as well, and understand what's going on there, but kind of choose just not to play a part in it. I'm kind of going to go my own way, man. Whether that works or not is an entirely different thing. They can teach you the rules, and I can break. Well, sorry, I should say I can break the rules, but you should only break the rules when you've kind of learned what the rules are. And otherwise you're just flailing around in the dark, really. So yeah. Having said that too, I do watch a lot of channels. I do watch a lot of Instagram. I do watch a lot of Facebook. I watch a lot of YouTube. I keep an eye on TikTok, and I keep abreast of everything that's happening with as many platforms as I can, right? I use WhatsApp every day, that's fine, right? And here we are doing a live stream. Like, that's an experiment in itself. And Instagram, I have to say, I've seen Andy's channel on Andy's account on Instagram. If you don't mind, Andy, would you mind sharing the handles for your accounts for the Facebook and the Instagram that you've got? Because like O'Malley's content, sorry, I hate that word, content. Like the stuff that O'Malley produces, I find it really interesting, this cultural aspect of how footy grounds and how sports grounds and sporting teams really are a reason for the culture that exists in the towns. As much as the railways were a part of the culture and a part of the economy and part of day-to-day life, and a part of the reasons these towns were there, so are the sporting grounds and the facilities and the features and the buildings. And so are also as well, like church buildings and things like that. That's a whole different channel, right? But, you could easily trace the history and the culture of anywhere in Australia, really, through things like the railways, the sports grounds and the teams, and religion, right? So yeah, I generally don't go into abandoned buildings on my travels unless I know that they are not private property. Now, one thing I choose to do, and that's not a comment on any other channels, is that I choose not to go in too far. Look, there are exceptions to this rule, but I choose not to, because I want everything that I do to be really as bulletproof as it can be. And as Josh would attest, I got trained in media law to within an inch of my life. I think I've done 3 separate subjects on media law. And in some ways, that's stunted the growth of what I do. But it also means that, I guess I've got a bit of a more careful aspect, a bit of a more conservative nature to what I do. I don't post much on Instagram either. It's because everyone has to realize there's only so much time in our lives. So you kind of have to choose a platform or two. And in my case, I've chosen YouTube this time, and the other channels are just kind of ancillary to that. Other people have the time, like Kane admirably has the time to do YouTube and Facebook, which is great. And it's got growing audiences on both platforms, which works really well. But for me, I've stuck with YouTube because, I've only got really time for one. When I'm out in the field, I'm only out there for, a limited amount of time, and I don't have a team of people. I've also worked with teams of people, incidentally, where we do go to locations, and there's people there who can do stuff for Instagram. There's people there who can do stuff for social media. There's people there who can get the footage. We're talking, productions there, and that's a whole different thing. So it is very hard to do all that at once. So I went through that where, I talked to my granddad, and when he asked me those questions, this is why we talk to our grandfathers, right? Is they ask questions that sort of force you to have a think about your answer, and think very quickly about things. And so why I'm doing this is to hopefully be, 50 years into the future, there will be a video record of some sort, an authentic video record of what was what was there 200 years ago, and what was there 100 years ago. So I just want to create that record. You're still on the Lego hunters. Keep it up, man. Keep it up. Bring it on. Let's see it when it's done, or send us a link to your videos, or keep an eye on the channel. But Andy, still chuck those handles in, or if you don't have, if YouTube won't let you put handles in, just type handle semicolon and the name after. We'll all work it out from there. We'll just get around that little thing. Book of the week. Are we there yet? Well, that is a book, actually. Are we there yet? And we're at 8:48 p.m. And I came on board tonight with actually no plan whatsoever, except for what I said in the initial description there. But I'm not sure anybody really sees, anybody really looks at the description of live streams anyway, really, unless you're like Mr. Beast or something. Yeah, we got it. That's good. Munro Jumpers, former footy grounds. Thank you, Andy. Really appreciate it. That's good to hear. Glorious NR. Love it. I don't know what I'm going to break the record for, Josh. I'm probably going to break the record for the most broken live streams. But yeah, no, go check out Munro Jumpers. And all the images of, yes, and you just reminded me too, all the images of the footy jumpers and stuff like that. That is such a rich vein that you found there that I bet you could just keep going forever. And so it is really interesting to see all these old footy jumpers as well. And when we think about things, all things, well, what if I told you that everything was media, including footy jumpers? So yeah, we'll just go with that philosophy. Book of the week. Okay, damn. It's probably not going to be 500. Sorry, I didn't think you actually owned them all. Wow. That's pretty crazy. Just before I do book of the week, I'm going to do coffee mug of the week this week. I have coffee mug of the week, and I thought this was particularly special. I bought this coffee mug at Old Tailem Town, right? Oh, look, you can even see it, Old Tailem Town down the bottom. I didn't even see that until just then. Someone really needs to talk to their graphic designer. But anyway, also, as you can see right there, I got home and got it out of the box and dropped it. So no more coffee for this coffee mug. But just, I guess it's kind of authentic Old Tailem Town, because just like Old Tailem Town, it's broken. All right, book of the week. Let's find a book. Oh man, this is tough. I am running out of books. Oh my god. Alright. I'm nearly there. I'm nearly there. There we go. Alright. Okay, we're going out of the reservation for this one a little bit. But hey, this is The Peripheral by William Gibson. The future's not a game. And those of you, I don't know if anyone knows William Gibson, but he wrote Neuromancer and Mona Lisa Overdrive. And he also wrote The Difference Engine with someone else. And I've got them all on my bookshelf there. But basically, this guy foresaw cyberspace. This guy was writing about what would happen in cyberspace and all the things that occurred there before I think the ideas that drove stories and movies like The Matrix really came from William Gibson's Neuromancer, Mona Lisa Overdrive, his whole idea of jacking into cyberspace and using cyber decks and all that kind of stuff. And he was writing these back in the 80s, but like all good sci-fi, and it's interesting because I wouldn't really classify William Gibson as sci-fi, classify him as more of a dystopian author. Yeah, and then he came back when was this? This is probably 10 years ago, I think. 2014. And came back with this one. He'd been out of the game for a really long time, and he came back with The Peripheral, right? Which brought everything that he had written and created and the concepts straight into 2014, straight into the land of where the internet and peripherals and connectivity was just exploding. And he brought it all into the new age. Like, he took that concept that he created way back then and he brought it into this book here, which tells a story of a slightly dystopian future. Bloody thank you, O'Malley. Wow, that's my second super on a live stream. And you so don't have to do that, but if everyone can get me to $10, right, then I'll go back and get a not broken mug and we can have a new mug of the week. Maybe we could have a mug of the week too, you know what I mean? In the near future, in a broken down rural America, Flynn Fisher scrapes a living as a gamer for rich players. So she works as a gamer for rich players, just as that set in. One night, working in a game set in a futuristic but puzzlingly empty London, she sees a death that's unnervingly vivid. Soon after, she gets word that this isn't a game. The future she saw is all too real. She's the only witness to a murder, and someone from that unreal tomorrow now wants her dead. So, yeah, go and check if you like that kind of stuff, where these books constantly surprise you and you do not want to skip to the end. Then, yeah, this is really interesting. Really weird, but really familiar concepts mixed up in a world that's not so unfamiliar from the one we live in today. Nice truck, eh? There were a few more different versions of this down at Old Talem Town. To tell the truth, I was going to buy a tea towel, but I recoiled in horror when I saw the actual tea towel, and I thought, yeah, no, I'll get a coffee mug instead. Might make a good pencil pot. Might also make a good something to throw at something somewhere down the track. I don't know. So there we go. So cool. Cheers for that, O'Malley. And that is another thing that I meant to say is that only just today, my channel, I was notified that my channel is eligible for AdSense. So watch out for this experiment over the next few weeks, and I'd love your feedback on it. I'm just going to change the status here now because we're gonna tone this down with this chat about advertising experiments. So for the next, I've got this experiment running now. I'll put ads onto the channel, but I will take them off if I'm getting feedback that they might infringe upon the experience. So I've put them on the live streams as well. And so, look, this stuff costs money, right? But at the same time, I still want to preserve that original experience. I'm not ever going to make as much out of YouTube for a very long time as I would out of just, simply working for a living. But at the same time, I need to keep building that channel. So I'd really love to, I've got this opportunity to talk to you guys and have this community as well. And you can give me some feedback if over the next few months or whatever, when I'm releasing new videos or new things are happening. I'd love to get your feedback on what Google is doing with the ads and how that might be impacting on the viewing experience, right? And so we have this really unique opportunity to share that. So I'd love to hear it. To be fair, look, these videos cost, some of these videos cost a couple $100 just in expenses. that's not to mention, the 40 plus odd hours of work that go into some of them. And I just lose track after about 40 hours on some of these videos. But these nearly 20-minute videos definitely take 40 plus hours. Sometimes that's even in addition to the actual travel and shooting time. But I have a lot of fun doing it, so I'm not necessarily worried about monetary compensation for what I do. So I have the opportunity. G'day, Pocket Watch. Welcome. I've heard of Brave Browser. It's very Brave Browser. What will I say about Brave Browser? Brave Browser, I learned, sells your viewership to a very select group of advertisers, and they kind of obfuscated as kind of Brave Money or Brave Spend or Brave something, where somehow I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, that Brave users all think they're not seeing any ads, but they're actually seeing some of the most hyper professionally and targeted marketing to ever exist on the internet. And yes, you're earning coins and stuff, and I'm always skeptical when the earning coins comes in. Hey, we're going to give you this stuff for free, and you're going to earn these coins, and you can do all this with these coins. And I'm like, straight up, the alarm bells and flashing lights go on. It's the same thing with Google and Microsoft, by the way, right? This is not unique to Brave Browser or anybody really, and there's a few of them out there. And I have installed Brave Browser and used it, but my training said don't do it. And I stick with Google because basically there's so many accounts around Google, right? I've got YouTube account, all these other things. You kind of have to keep it tight, unfortunately, or fortunately. I don't know. Everybody's different. Whatever works for them. Looking forward to doing some Western Victoria trips. And if that is your area of expertise, Andy, I know who to go to when I start my research for some of these trips as well. And as I've said to her, Mally, would it be great if we could all catch up and go to a location and do a video on the same location, but in all three of our different styles? It would be really great to see a project where we would all go to the same location, would create a different video on that same thing for three different audiences. I think that would make a really interesting collaboration. G'day, Kingsley. Welcome aboard. Look, Pocket Watch and Kingsley, as you might be able to tell, I've got the That's All Folks up, so we're kind of running down now to the last 5 minutes or so, and this is almost the point where I start to thank everybody from coming on board. With your super chat did work. I'm so humbled, Josh. I'm genuinely humbled because I used to give super chats to people in the years gone by when I liked their work, and that seems like so long ago. And yet here we all are doing good chats for week 67 in 2024. That's why they call you Pocket Watch. God, don't get me started on Temu. As any old Aussie retailer would tell you, I think you would understand what I would want to say about Temu. So, yeah. No, this has been really cool. I haven't had a video to show or anything like that. There's been plenty to chat about. Like I said, I set up the stream 10 minutes early tonight just to put a bit of a call out there and to get things started because I do also rely on the audience. I rely on all of you to help me find things that are current to talk about and that are interesting to talk about. And so, as always, you can send me content to Outdoorstype, as Daryl and Train Spotters Worldwide Guide does from time to time. Now, I don't always manage to fit it in because sometimes I might find it hard to then switch over to something and talk about Western Australian Railway. So I encourage you to send me stuff that you also you want to see in here, but I might also have a bit of a connection to that I can talk about as well. The daylight saving is getting much is starting to wane now. Obviously, here in South Australia as well, you're starting to notice that the sun goes down a little bit earlier, and it has definitely gone down outside now at 9:02 in South Australia. Thanks, Josh. It's been a long time to get here, but there's a lot more to come. I think maybe now is the time that Outdoorstype can get down to business and start to expand things a little bit more. I've really enjoyed it, and I will continue to enjoy it as well. So I'm going to try not to forget everyone this week, because I always feel guilty when I forget somebody. So if I happen to forget you, please understand that I didn't forget you, really, because I'll think about it later on and I'll feel guilty about it. Kane, for coming on early, thank you. Go check out Kane's Trains channel. He's got some great videos on there, great expertise, super deep knowledge on railways and trains, and a really casual and authentic guy to watch as well. O'Malley Tours 34 around the grounds. Also got a YouTube channel. Go check him out. Thanks heaps for coming on board and that suggestion as well. Jeremy Kemp, as usual, our second in charge and remote producer of the show, who reminds me when things go wrong. Steve Klink, thanks for coming on board, mate. Always a pleasure to have you on board. Let us know more about what you want to see or what you want to talk about in the streams. Love seeing you here. Love to hear your feedback. Pete Donaldson, thank you again for coming on board and participating. Look forward to hearing your feedback on how things might go moving forward. God, I hate that term. Moving forward with the ads. Hunters, locomotives, send us some pics, or let's sort it out when you've finished your Lego engines, and let's have a look. We'd love to see it. Andy Munro, I've learned a lot about you and your channel over the last couple of weeks. I've spent a lot of time looking there, and that's really, really interesting stuff. I really love it. So go check out Munro Jumpers on Instagram, and I think Facebook as well. That sounds heaps professional, doesn't it? Whoops. Plain Train Guy, great to have you on board as always as well. Darryl Phillips and Transport Spotters Worldwide Guide on Facebook. Go check him out. We have got Drift Oz Photography coming in hot. Been a long time, mate, but great to have you on board as well. Who else did we have on board? We had Josh coming in midway. Thanks for coming on board, Josh. Thanks so much. I really do value this connection back to time at university, so it's great to have your input and your participation as well, and a really interesting different viewpoint on things. And then we have Pocket Watch. Thank you so much for thinking about the channel and coming in late. Better late than never. Really appreciate it. I'm here at 8:15 p.m. every Wednesday, but no, I won't think about changing the time. It's going to be 8:15 p.m. every Wednesday. Sorry. And Kingsley Purvis, again, thank you for coming on board. Really appreciate seeing new people come back, and we can build this community. We can learn a little bit from each other, support each other, and share a little bit about our weeks and our lives as well. Don't forget, just send me stuff on Facebook if there's something you want to talk about. Otherwise, next week we'll be back here again, and I'll talk about other random things that inspire me, and perhaps some more that I've found in my research. Now I'm talking to a couple of museums about gaining research images for upcoming projects. So as always, this has been week 67 of Good Chats, and it has been awesome. Thank you again. We'll see you all next week. Peace.